Hello everyone, I'm Ben Way. Welcome to WorldPlayHQ, your home for expert analysis and match previews as we help you track your World Cup brackets. The knockout phase has been every bit as brilliant and brutal as we'd hoped. A tournament favourite in imperious form, a golden boot race for the ages, penalty shootout mayhem, VAR controversy and two giant upsets as well. Joining me to go through it all, we have Spencer Siegel, an American sports addict living in Spain, and Jason Glass, our DAZN 48 representative for the Netherlands. There is no easy way to soften the blow, guys. The stunning defeats by Germany and the Netherlands decimated the vast majority of your brackets. We'll get to those games shortly, but first to England, who very nearly suffered the same fate. They needed a hero moment, Spencer, and Harry Kane delivered two of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did. And, you know, this was one of those games, guys, where I thought England were going to need to come up with something late. And the difference between this game and, say, for example, the game against Ghana, where they had 80% of the ball and couldn't score, they were up against another organized defense, but Congo had a goal with them to take with them into that second half and defend. And Mbassi, the keeper, was outstanding in the first half. But credit to Harry Kane, he found his spots. Anthony Gordon came on as a substitute to really galvanize that squad. And they skated by, which they might not be able to do in the next round against Mexico. So they're going to have to be sharper from here on out.
Well, as you touch on, it is a tough opponent to bump into next. They were 2-0 winners against Ecuador, their first knockout win at a World Cup for 40 years, Mexico. So, remarkably, all three of our North American hosts are now through to the round of 16. Jason, how much of a threat does Mexico pose to England?
Well, before the start of the tournament, I really said that Mexico isn't that big of a threat. I mean, if you look at the squad, the teams they're currently playing at, it's not that good. But after seeing the group stage matches and now beating Ecuador, England might have a problem. I mean, without Harry Kane, there's not really a lot of chances created. So I think it will be a close game.
It's not just Mexico England has to overcome, it's Azteca Stadium. Mexico haven't lost there since 2013, and of the 89 games played there, they've won 70, drawn 17 and lost 2. The winner of that will meet either Brazil or Norway. 92% of brackets had Brazil beating Japan. A 96-minute stoppage time winner was enough for them to prevail in that. They progressed, Spencer, but how did they stop Erling Haaland?
Well, how do you stop a freight train? I mean, that's a heck of a question. I don't understand what you can do to stop him, but I think, you know, if you wanted to stop a freight train, the first thing you look to do is try to slow it down. So hopefully, from their perspective, they've got two very powerful, experienced center backs in Marquinhos and Gabriel. They're going to need to put a body on him and make sure they know where he is at all times, because he's the guy on their team that can be the killer. You don't want him to get in the way of things.
On the other side of the draw, guys, the US defeated Bosnia-Herzegovina 2-0 to book their spot in the last 16. Jason, what did you make of their performance?
Bosnia just sat down deep and defended. And after the 1-0, then a great goal. What a free kick by Malik Tillman, former PSV player, actually in the Netherlands. Bosnia tried everything they could, but attacking-wise, they were not good enough.
They finished with 10 men, Spencer, or you finished with 10 men, I should probably put it. So Follerin Balogun scored to go ahead and then got sent off for a second-half challenge. He'll now miss the game against Belgium. Was it worthy of a straight red card in your opinion?
Yeah, I'm a little conflicted on this one because I think it was a red card, even though he had no idea where he was putting his foot. But, you know, the referee called it serious foul play. I do agree with that call. The only thing that I would change in this instance is I don't think it's worthy of a suspension for the next game. Obviously, you can't change the rules in the middle of the tournament. That it is what it is. But a play like that just doesn't seem like you should be missing another 90 minutes beyond what he's already missed in that game. And credit to the US because they were able to get through it.
I think that's a good point, and maybe that's something they can look at because it didn't have the intent, to my mind. Maybe a red, but it does seem a high price to pay. So they'll play Belgium, who broke Senegalese hearts in the round of 32. As the 9th ranked team in the world, they pose a serious challenge to the hosts, don't they, Spencer?
Yeah, they do. The thing is, I think Belgium might not be the story coming from this game. Credit to them for coming back from 2 goals down and doing it in the style that they did. I think the story, my takeaway, are how close the African teams are to really making a statement on the global stage. The thing is, with Senegal, with Ivory Coast, with Congo, they all took leads. They all had the game in their hands. Physically, they're up to the task. Tactically, they're up to the task. The only difference is they have to learn how to finish these games, and once they do that, they're going to arrive like everybody else.
Well, Senegal, as you point out, led 2-0 after 86 minutes. Goals from Lukaku and Tielemans levelled things up before a controversial penalty 125 minutes in. So the latest winner in World Cup history. In the same quarter of the draw, guys, we have 2 more round of 32 games to complete. World number 3, Spain, are going to meet Austria, and the winner of that will meet the winner of Portugal, Croatia. 99% of brackets have Spain progressing. The other is an even split. A quick thought on those 2 games, Jason.
Well, for Portugal against Croatia, I was expecting a lot of Portugal before the start of the tournament, but I have to say they're kind of disappointing so far. So I think that will be a 50-50 game. And in terms of the Spain against Austria one, I expect Spain to progress relatively easily.
We've touched on some narrow escapes, guys, but there was some bracket carnage over that side of the draw as well. Germany and the Netherlands both out. Germany's round of 32 tie with Paraguay ended 1-1 after extra time. That resulted in a penalty shootout, which sent the 4-time champions home and earned the people of Paraguay a national holiday. What a moment it was, Spencer.
Yeah, it was interesting to say the least, and I think it's a really good. It's something to take from this tournament, because now that you have this extra knockout round, anything is possible at any moment. You can't have a bad day. It doesn't work like that anymore. Maybe if you start at the round of 16 and you got to win, 4 games to get yourself into that final and win it, okay. But starting with 32, it feels like the tournament started this week as opposed to what we've been doing for the last 3 weeks, and you now have to be sharp at all times.
You certainly do. That's the first time Germany has lost a penalty shootout at a World Cup, Jason. Were you surprised by their failures from the spot?
Well, yes, actually. Normally, most of the times, those players from Germany have more quality than Paraguay, play at bigger clubs, more experience. So I guess nobody expected Germany to lose on penalties, especially after their good track record in penalties.
Germany's 4 previous penalty shootouts at World Cups, for what it's worth: France in 82, Mexico 86, England 90 and Argentina 2006. Not only did they win all 4, they made 17 of the 18 penalties. So the fact that they missed 3 against Paraguay is quite hard to fathom. Before any of that happened, though, Germany's Jonathan Tah headed a goal in extra time that was disallowed for a foul on the goalkeeper. What were your thoughts on that review decision, Spencer? Because it certainly caused a stir.
Yeah, it's just not a foul for me. It's as simple as that. And I like to be as objective with every call as possible. We talked about the Balogun one, even though it was unfortunate, it was definitely a foul. In this case, I just didn't see that being the case. For me, it's so difficult in football, because if you take one little shove, you eliminate 30 passes, 50 passes, however many build-up passes it took to get to that one beautiful moment where the ball ends up in the back of the net, and it just doesn't seem justified to take that goal off, and Germany are obviously going to have a lot to say about it over the next 4 years.
And understandably so. For Paraguay, a huge scalp, but a monumental challenge awaits. 99% of brackets worldwide had France through to the round of 16, and they charged past Sweden 3-0. Can anyone stop them in this kind of form, Jason?
To be honest, I don't think so. The France we have seen so far has been so good. Every game they manage to at least score 2-3 goals, Mbappe being on fire. And when you don't have Mbappe, you still have Olise, Dembele, Doué, Barcola. I mean, you can't even name them all. So France will 100% progress against Paraguay, and I think they'll go all the way.
Another double for Mbappe takes him to 6 alongside Messi in the Golden Boot race. Kane is on 5, and so is Haaland, as he netted 1 in Norway's 2-1 defeat of Cote d'Ivoire. But here's a list Mbappe leads all on his own. He now has 10 goals in World Cup knockout games. Look at the other names on the list. Legendary Brazilian strikers Leonidas da Silva and Ronaldo, Just Fontaine from France, Pelé, notably no Messi on the list. Mbappe is in uncharted territory here, Spencer, isn't he?
I actually really like this stat, and I'll tell you why. It's because as we get further along in what is the World Cup's new format with 48 teams, or who knows, we go to 64 in 4 years, or 128, the amount of games are going to keep getting bigger. The amount of games that these players play are going to be bigger. And so players like Mbappe will, I think, eventually he'll overtake Messi, obviously, as the all-time goal scorer in the tournament. But this is about the group stage, and that's a constant going all the way back quite a ways to the 60s. So in being able to play those 3 games every time, there's something to be said for what he's done so far.
Have your impressions of France changed? I mean, they came in as tournament favourites or equal favourites with Spain. Has it changed from the start until now, Spencer?
No, not at all. They are the best team in this field. That's fairly obvious. They have to stay consistent, as I said, because this is a knockout-style tournament that if you have one bad day, even if it's against Paraguay, I mean, just ask Germany. They had a bad day against Paraguay, and look what happened. I don't know where they would slip up in this thing. I think maybe if they see Morocco in the quarterfinals, things could get a little bit more complicated, but that's the nature of the beast, and it's become what is this single elimination 32-team bracket now that we play down to 2.
I can't help but feel the mood of the show is just about to dip a touch. So France and Paraguay, they will meet the winner of Canada-Morocco in the quarterfinals. Canada beat South Africa 1-0, and Morocco took down, Jason, the Dutch in a penalty shootout. How devastating is the loss?
Well, I can't even describe it, actually. During the game, you already felt Morocco coming. They were the better team at most of the chances. But still, when you score the first goal, you're ahead. Game time is almost over. Diop comes into the box. No one is actually marking him, and yeah, we all felt it coming. But still, a huge bummer. There's a lot of Moroccans living in the Netherlands, actually, so it's even more frustrating. I'm getting so many messages, phone calls from the Moroccans telling me they did it. Give me a few more days.
Okay, it was devastating for 81% of brackets too, if that helps. A lot of people went down with you guys. Most expected the Dutch to prevail. Losing on penalties has become an all too familiar tale for the Netherlands though, and not to rub salt in the wound, but 16 years ago they suffered a 1-0 defeat to Spain in the final thanks to an extra time goal from Iniesta. They haven't lost a World Cup game in regulation or extra time since. It's always been penalties. In 2014, eliminated on penalties in the semi-finals. 2018, they failed to qualify. 2022, eliminated on penalties in the quarters. This year, eliminated on penalties in the round of 32. The curse haunts one family more than most, Jason. Justin Kluivert's missed penalty was eerily similar to that of his famous father, Patrick, 26 years prior, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually really weird to see. I've seen the footage from Patrick Kluivert missing in the Euros against Italy, and now Justin against Morocco. So kind of almost a similar penalty, both hitting the post on such an important moment. Exactly 26 years ago from the moment we played. So you can almost say there's no... it can't be a convenience.
Spencer, I might come to you on this because the World Cup, the pressure is ridiculous. But past failures can also multiply onto you in a World Cup. And it felt as though the weight of previous misgivings weighed heavily on those Netherlands' shoulders the other day. How did you see it?
I think penalties are a very difficult beast to overcome emotionally and mentally because it's a very simple concept, right? It's 80%. You put the ball on the spot, and in theory, you should be putting it past the keeper 4 out of 5 times. But we know that's not always the case. And a lot of what we saw in the 2 penalty losses for Germany and the Netherlands were not just saved penalties, but straight up misses. And that usually signals more of a mental glitch than anything else. Because if you take a good penalty and the keeper stops it, that's one thing. But if you hit the post, or like what Jonathan Tah did, and keep in mind, credit to Jonathan Tah, nobody else wanted to take that penalty for Germany once they had gone into sudden death, and he skied it into the 20th row. So it just depends on who's taking it and who's ready for the moment.
At least Baggio has company now. As for Morocco, guys, they were semi-finalists 4 years ago and will fancy themselves against Canada in the round of 16, won't they, Spencer?
Yes, and actually, if we're talking about penalties, Morocco is the team that did have that upper hand, not just from what they did this week, but if you go back to AFCON in January 2026, it was Morocco, Nigeria in the semifinals to get to the final on home soil for them. And Yassine Bono did exactly the same thing that he did this time around. In fact, he had a similar save to the one that everybody's talking about, where he moved to one side of the goal and positioned himself differently than what we're used to seeing traditionally. Morocco are a strong team. They are no longer a dark horse. They're the best team in Africa. I would put them and Senegal on the same pedestal, and that's a different conversation for a different time. But those two teams, there's only one left, and it's Morocco, and they certainly have the capability to make another deep run. Again, let's see what happens if they meet up with France in the quarters.
All right, we'll have a look at our remaining quarter of the draw that's yet to get underway in the round of 32. Messi's men meet Cabo Verde, and 98% of brackets, the only surprise to me is that it's not higher, 98% of brackets have Argentina progressing. That said, Cabo Verde were undefeated through the group phase. They qualified second behind Spain. Do they have one more surprise in them, Jason?
I hope so, actually. Now that the Netherlands is out, we have loads of Cape Verdean people here in the Netherlands, especially Rotterdam. So, well, let's hope for a surprise. But normally, they stand no chance against this Argentina and Messi.
Spencer, it is undeniably the weak side of the draw, isn't it? If Argentina win, they'll meet either the Socceroos, go you good things, or Egypt. If they get through that, Switzerland, Algeria, Colombia, or Ghana await.
Yeah, you just said a bunch of teams that don't have a lot of deep run experience in the World Cup. And with all due respect to those teams, Argentina are the reigning defending champions of the world. So I would put my money and my thoughts on them to do everything that they can in that part of the bracket. And then once we get a little bit later on, you never know. Although I'll say too, I'm hoping that Cabo Verde makes it interesting for us.
And the Socceroos as well. That'll do us for another show, guys. Thank you very much to Spencer and Jason. And a reminder to everyone who's keeping track of their bracket at WorldPlayHQ. The points double every single round. Even if you rank quite low right now, that doesn't mean that's where you're going to finish. There's still plenty to play for later on in the tournament, so make sure you keep up with how your bracket is going. Thanks for joining us on WorldPlayHQ, and we look forward to seeing you next time.